Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the one-day chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin had held this 84.50. We had tested, or excuse me, this 84.50. Sorry, guys. This $7,500 support. And we said that was a very critical zone. That remains a critical zone, in my opinion, guys. That did hold. And of course, this reaffirmed our symmetrical wedge here, or at least what we think is a symmetrical wedge. And I'll get back to that here shortly. But as of right now, guys, we're looking at this as a symmetrical wedge. In other words, as it gets closer and closer to the apex here, we would expect a larger breakout to come here, and it could literally come at any time, in my opinion here. I told you, I think day before yesterday, I said in about 3 days, it looks like we may get that breakout. We may get some kind of resolution to this. That would be tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on how you're drawing this wedge here. If I zoom in here to the 4 hour and I look at this, this prior order structure from basically May 19th all the way to May 22nd, you could make a case that the wedge should be drawn like this. That basically hits every single peak here, with one exception with one 4 hour candle exception on May the 19th. And of course, if this is the case, and I'm not even saying it's not, it could be. If this is the case, we already have broken out of the wedge to the upside. However, if I come out here to the daily chart, and I think this is the more accepted pattern. If I come out here to the daily chart, it's drawn more like this. And this kind of keeps everything enclosed, up and including this thing, even though it's not perfectly hitting our what looked like a nice little descending resistance line here from, as I said, May the 19th basically through May the 22nd. So really, it depends on how you're drawing this. Either way, guys, there's no question that we're consolidating. We're getting squeezed tighter and tighter here, and it looks like we should get some resolution to this in the next. I said 2 to 3 days last time. Again, that would be tomorrow. But could this continue past tomorrow and into the weekend? Yes. But even the most liberal drawing of this wedge so if this is a symmetrical wedge, even the most liberal drawing would have us getting resolution by Monday. So again, it would be the next 3 days. So I just wanted to keep you guys updated on that. I know what I said the other day. I know I said in the next 3 days, and I know that would be tomorrow. But if I look at a more liberal drawing of this, guys, that could bring us down into Monday. That being said, guys, is it possible that this is not a symmetrical triangle, or excuse me, a symmetrical wedge here? Yes. If we break up to the upside here and take out this prior, the prior swing high, which is at approximately, depending on what you want to, if you want to look at the if you want to look at the body, if you want to look at the wick, that's going to be anywhere between about 82 all the way up to about 8,300. If we do take that out and we come up here and we test 8,400 and 8,400 gets rejected again, if that happens, guys, then I think that we would no longer be looking at a symmetrical wedge. At that point, we'd be looking at what? We'd be looking at something like this, which looks more like an ascending triangle. And if that is the case, if we come up here and we get rejected again at 8,400, come back down, the base holds once again, of course, that's going to confirm an ascending triangle, and that is a bullish sign. That is a very, very bullish pattern, guys. At that point, I think the nod's going to go in favor of the bulls, and regardless of what happens in the short term, I think once this thing breaks out of its pattern, it's going to be to the upside. Probability doesn't mean it can't break down. It certainly can. Anything can happen in crypto, but probability favors heavily to the upside if that does end up happening here. So we're going to have to wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out, guys. For now, we're going to treat this as a symmetrical, symmetrical wedge. And we're going to be looking for a equal opportunity breakout to the up or to the downside. To the upside, guys, as you know, and I think, at this point, I think most people are in agreement. If this thing does decisively takes out 8,400, in other words, if we have a daily candle, both opening and closing above 8,400, I think, there's just not much resistance until we get up to around 96, 9,700-ish, somewhere up at this prior swing high, where we created a lot of order structure back in here in May of 18. I do think that's going to be where price starts to find some resistance. Anywhere between, I'd say anywhere between 94 and anywhere between 9,400 and really 9,900, 9,950-ish, which would be the prior swing high. That's going to be your target of a decisive break above 8,400. To the downside, we talked about this earlier. If we do break below, and even on a 4-hour candle, guys, I know I usually talk about a decisive break on the daily. Even if we get a 4-hour candle closing below 8,400, or excuse me, 7,500. If we get a 4-hour candle closing below 7,500, I think we're at least going to come down to, as I said, 7,200, which would be this wick, or excuse me, not this wick, the body of these two daily candles here. That's if that breaks down, if 7,200 does break down, guys, I think that's going to be your area. If this thing were to be a bear trap, in other words, breaking down, trapping people into shorts, and then turning right back around, that's where it would reverse course, in my opinion, would be about 7,200. If 7,200 does break, we're coming down, in my opinion, to at least 6,750, but I don't think 6,750 holds this time. I think we break down to at least 6,550, and that's being pretty generous. I mean, things could get bearish fairly quickly. In fact, if I come out here and look at the weekly chart, zooming all the way out to the weekly and getting rid of some of that noise, guys, what does it kind of tell us? It tells us, obviously, we're hitting a major area of resistance. It was the prior swing high back in July of 18. We've discussed this before. It's not just that this was a swing high. I've discussed numerous videos. I'm not going to go through it again, but this is, in my opinion, a major resistance at about 8,400 to 8,450. If that does get taken out, guys, that's going to, I believe that'll be the last nail in the coffin of the bears. I believe 8,450 is really the bears' last stand to try to hold on to any hope of continuing the bear market. Any hope of coming down to a new low and taking out this prior low here. I really think if we take that out, guys, even if we take this out briefly and we have that larger 35 to 45% correction, which I do think is coming, eventually it's going to come. Probability tells us that we are going to get a 35 to 45% correction at some point, whether that happens now or whether that happens after one more leg up. It's very likely going to happen. Now, again, this is crypto. So, the only thing that's consistent about crypto is it consistently surprises. I've said that many times in the past. So, nothing is a certainty. But again, probability-wise, we are going to get a 35 to 45% correction, guys. There's no question about it. And coming out here and getting rid of some of the noise, looking at the weekly chart, where do you think price would come down to? Well, the first area of major support that we could see, which is this area right here between about 6,400 all the way down to and including 6,000. Why is that? That's because that was the area of support all the way back throughout 2018. It was also an area of fairly significant resistance, basically from September all the way until we did break down below our 6,000 barrier, and that was in mid-November. So basically, for about 2 months, we were getting resistance right around 6,400-ish. So yes, what was resistance often acts as support. What was support often acts as support. So that would be the first major area we'd be watching between about 6,400 to 6,000. And that, if this thing does end up breaking down, that'd be the first area we'd be looking at major support if we get the larger breakdown everyone's looking for. That being said, guys, if that does break down, where can we see it coming down to? Definitely the next major logical area, just looking at the naked eye here, would be this prior area of consolidation where we consolidated basically through all of April, and that was right around 5,000, really between 5,000 and 5,500. That was where we 5,400. That was where we consolidated all throughout the month of April, guys, and of course that would be what typically the last major area of consolidation. Oftentimes when you get the larger correction, comes down and is tested and starts acting as support. So we'll have to wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out, guys, but certainly we could make a case for a very logical correction down to and including 5,000. Not only does it make sense just looking at the naked eye here, but if we pull our fib level out and we go swing low, swing high, we can see that the 618, really the golden pocket between the 618 and the 65 fib level, sits right at that area of consolidation between about 5,000 and 5,400, 5,300. So there's no question this would make sense. There's no question that just logically we can see us coming down and at least wicking down into this zone right on top of the 618, which again would bring us down to about the lower $5,000 range. Now, if we do have one more leg up and we start correcting from 9,700-ish, then of course I'll be looking at the $6,000 range as more of a more logical area to correct, a more probable area to correct. But I do think if we get a logical correction from its current price point, guys, 5,000, 5,500 to 5,000 is definitely on the table. And this is where I'd have. This is where I do have buy orders sitting between 55 and 5,000, guys. But yes, I would consider going, and if you don't, I would consider going very heavy if we ever do see a $55,000 to $5,000 Bitcoin. Now, again, could this just be a quick bounce and we come much lower? Yeah. but there's no question it will, excuse me, there's always a question. I never want to say that, guys. There's no certainty. And if anybody tells you something is certain in crypto, that should be your first red flag, that they have no idea what they're talking about. Nothing is a certainty in cryptocurrency. That being said, very, very likely, even the most bearish scenario where price comes down and creates a new low, we're very likely going to get a very nice bounce between 5,000 and 5,500. So at the very least, this provides a very decent scalp day, if not swing trade at 5,000. All right, looking at the weekly RSI still overbought. The last time we were overbought like this, it was December of 2017, and of course that's where we ended up breaking down. So yeah, just because we're sitting here, guys, doesn't mean that we have to correct. It doesn't mean we can't have one more leg up, but it certainly does suggest that eventually we're going to get a larger correction. And every time we've seen the RSI in this area in the past, we did have a larger correction. We had it here on, let's see, we peaked out December the 11th. In 2017, October the 30th, 2017. Of course, we had that larger breakdown. We were at the top of 7,600. We broke down to 5,500. Coming back to August of 2017, topped out at 5,000. Broke down to 3,000. So anytime we've been in this overbought territory, guys, we have had a larger correction. Now it came back. It did come back. So I believe the bottom is in. I believe if we do have a larger correction, it will come back, but we are due for a larger correction. But it doesn't mean we can't have one more breakup here. Certainly we can have one more breakup. Certainly we can have one more breakup. Want to make sure I'm pronouncing that properly. Certainly we can have one more leg up here, guys, but probability tells us even if we do, we still have a larger 35 to 45% correction on our hands. All right, checking longs and shorts, nothing's really changed, guys. Yeah, nothing too significant at all. Longs basically moving sideways at this point. They were, we're dropping off a little bit here. Right now, they seem to have stagnated here. If they continue to drop off, that's going to get my attention. If longs continue to drop off the board here and shorts remain stagnant, guys, I think that's going to be your signal that very likely price is going to shorts price is going to drop, especially if shorts start to drop as well. If longs are dropping, excuse me. Let me take that back, guys. Reverse that. If longs start to drop, shorts start to stack, as you guys know, I think that's going to be a signal that price is very likely going to break up. Opposite is also true if longs start to drop here and shorts start to, if longs start to rise and shorts start to drop, that's going to be your signal that very likely price is going to end up breaking down to liquidate long positions. But as of right now, guys, they're pretty much irrelevant. Looking at our moving averages, exponential moving averages, guys, it's, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Looking at the daily, we can see we're above the 8-day EMA, guys. Very, very bullish sign, guys. Nothing but bullish. We can see the 8s above the 21, above the 55. All very, very bullish, guys. Nothing to, it just is. There's no question about it. We can see that the moving averages are continuing to get some space between them, guys, which basically means more padding. Basically provides more support if and when price does end up breaking down here, guys. So there's nothing. Everything about this is bullish. That being said, we're going to be watching very closely the 21-day EMA, guys. We break below the 21-day EMA decisively, not a wick like we tested back here, but a daily candle opening and closing below the 21-day EMA. I think that's going to be your signal that very likely we're starting that larger 25 to 35%, or excuse me, 35 to 45% correction that we're all waiting for. Zooming in on the 4-hour, we can see that the moving averages, exponential moving averages, all converging on each other here, guys. We basically have the 821 55-day EMA converging. The 55-day EMA is sitting right in between them all. So yes, this does signal a larger move to come here. Could it already be breaking up? It's possible. We'll have to wait and see kind of how this plays out. As of now, guys, they're maintaining within the Bollinger Bands here. They're basically trading a range here. I want to see it break out of this range. I think if and when that might be your first signal. But again, remember, we're only on the 4-hour here, guys, so take that with a grain of salt. That being said, it does look like we are setting up for a larger move to come. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. Let's quickly go over some altcoins, starting with EOS here. EOS, zooming in here, guys, I told you last time we spoke, EOS was consolidating in a series of lower highs, higher lows, consolidating within a wedge here, guys, and I warned you of a possible bull and or bear trap, which I always warn you about a possible bull and or bear trap. We did get that breakdown. I told you what? I told you we needed, if we had a decisive break below this $5.90 range, that would be your signal to go short. But remember, I said a decisive break. I told you guys that taking out this prior low here, of this wedge, that would be this would be critical to confirm that breakout to the downside. And we did not take out this prior low here. In fact, if I come in here and look at the daily chart, we didn't even decisively break below $5.90. So remember, this was your signal to go short if and when we broke decisively below 590. What is a decisive break? A decisive break is a daily candle both opening and closing. We did not get that. We wicked below it, but that basically confirmed the bear trap. What happened? We came back down, and this is why I always talk about the bull and or bear trap. I always talk about confirming the breakout, guys, because we had a perfect break right at prior low here, found support at the prior low, found support at the 21-day EMA, did not break the 21-day EMA. This is why I love this 21-day EMA so much, guys. It's very, very relevant. So hitting this 21-day EMA, bouncing right off the bottom of not only the area of support we talked about, but also the 21-day EMA, completely doing a U-turn and reversing course right back up. So yeah, that was the bear trap. That was basically market makers hunting, trying to stop people out here. Probably likely did stop people out here. And of course, now we're back up here trying to take out this prior high. I want to see us take out this prior high, which sits at approximately, really, I want to see us take out the body of this, these 1, 2, 3, 4 daily candles here were basically closing right at the exact same point. And that was right at about 60, not closing on all of them, but basically the tops of these 3 candles were right at about 60, really $6.48, $6.48, guys. So I want to see us take that out decisively. If we can take that out, and certainly if we can take out this prior high at about $6.58, I think it's going to be basically a quick shot up to at least this prior wick here, which is at about $6.88, but I think very likely we're going to end up coming up and testing at least $7 here, guys. There's just not once we take this out, there's just not a whole lot of resistance between current price point and $7, but we do have to take this prior high out first before we can say that. But I am bullish on EOS overall as long as Bitcoin doesn't correct. If Bitcoin does correct, guys, of course, EOS is very likely going to fall along with it. I know that Block 1 has tampered down expectations for the Block 1 announcement on June 1. Now, that could be a good or a bad thing. Basically, I think it's a good thing for price short term. In other words, I think we're getting a more realistic idea of what EOS, a more I think this is a more realistic approach to EOS. In other words, I think you can trust the charts a little bit better, knowing that a lot of people aren't going to FOMO in on the Block 1 announcement. Now, they may FOMO in on crypto altogether, but at least we know that we're not looking at FOMO in on the Block 1 announcement, being how that they basically have tampered down expectations on that at this point. So would I be a buyer of EOS right here? A little bit risky if you're dollar cost averaging in for the long haul. Of course, I think EOS is it's a very sound coin. You guys know I'm a big fan of EOS. If I'm a day trader, would I buy EOS at this point, guys? I think I'd wait for us to take out this prior high here. Why do I say that? I say that because clearly market makers are stop hunting here, and to the upside here, what excuse me, what's a decent area that people are going to either take profits, or those that are going short on EOS, where are their stop losses? And very likely their stop losses are sitting right above this wick here, which is again at about $6.59. Let's call it about $6.60. So really $6.60. If we can take out, if we can break above $6.60 and price can hold there, I think that's going to be a good signal to go in long. I think we're going to at least come up to the $7, if not higher. Now, the $7 range, guys, is not in and of itself a very strong resistance. It's a very, very small little supply zone that was created back here in August of 18, and it has not been tested yet. So I'm just eyeballing this area here, but even though this is certainly an area to watch, this certainly could be an area where we do get a rejection. This is not a very strong resistance. I think the next area where we see strong resistance is around $8. Of course, that's a good psychological number, but really about $8.15-ish. This is the first area I could see a very strong rejection coming in. Doesn't mean it can't happen between $7 and $7.30. Again, that is technically a decent little supply zone that was created back here. So I'm not discounting that at all. I'm just saying if this thing does end up going parabolic, we could cut through $7 very, very, very quickly and find ourselves up at $8. So likely what I would do if we do take out this prior high here at $6.59, I do think that's your signal to go long on EOS. I think once we get into the $7 range, would I take profits? Probably not. I would probably just increase my stop loss. So to ensure that I protect the profits that I have gained, knowing that we could get rejected there. But again, there would be a decent risk to reward there where I would certainly just increase my stop loss and gamble on price just shooting up here to $8 if this thing does end up going parabolic. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Whatever you do, make sure you have a plan here, guys, because if you don't have a plan, you're going to end up getting wrecked. All right, that wraps EOS. Quickly looking at Binance Coin, guys. Binance Coin is just, Binance Coin has just been, it's just been incredible, guys. It really has. I've made some mistakes here. Price broke up here, and really they weren't mistakes. I would do the same thing. Hindsight's always 20/20. That being said, I showed you guys how I was getting my targets on Binance Coin. I told you where my buys. I told you where I got out. I got out at $31. Really, I think it was like 31.33 is where I ended up getting out with Binance Coin, guys. And I was expecting a breakdown. I was expecting a larger correction than we had. Now it did correct down to about 29.50-ish, but I was expecting a larger correction, guys. And of course, I was watching this ascending resistance line here that it seemed to be respecting fairly well. And then, of course, as I showed you guys last time, since we are at all-time highs, it's very difficult to get areas of resistance. So you pull our fib extension, guys, we can see that the 618, the golden pocket between the 618 and the 65 fib level was extremely relevant. This was my first target. This is where I ended up getting, actually my first target was down here at $29 at the 50 fib level, guys, and that was relevant as well. We can see it respected that fairly decently. Of course, I did not sell there, guys. I was looking at this area here because this is where I found confluence between that ascending support line and the 618 fib level, really the golden pocket there. And of course, that's where it did retrace, but it didn't retrace nearly as much as I thought it would, only coming down to about 29.60-ish. And I did not get, now, of course, I do hold Binance Coin for the long haul, so, that in that sense, of course I am profiting, but my trading portfolio, guys, I got out at 31.20, and I think it was 31.20, somewhere around 31.20, and I did not get back in. It's the interest of full transparency. So yeah, that I should have in hindsight, but hindsight's always 20/20. Of course, I told you where the next area of the next target would be the next fib level, which was at the 786, and it seems to be respecting that as of now, coming up, hitting just shy there of the 786 here, guys, which 786 sits right around 35. $35-ish, and we were just shy of that. I think it came up to, what was that, 34.78. So yeah, as of right now, guys, it does seem like a decent target. Would I enter Binance Coin right now? I would dollar cost average into Binance Coin, guys. I think it's one of the coins I'm the most bullish on in 2019. That being said, it is due for a larger correction. It just is due for a larger correction here, guys. There's no way around it. Looking at the daily RSI, we can see daily RSI is showing some bearish divergence. We just go point to point here. Obviously, price created a higher high, and we go from the exact same point to point. Price created a lower high here. So this is calling for a larger breakdown in price here. Doesn't mean it has to happen, not at all, but it definitely is calling for it, guys. At some point, probability tells us that it will. Where will it correct to? I think the first area that I'm going to be looking to add to my position is going to be about 28, which is this prior order structure right, or the top of these wicks right here, where this was resistance. This resistance turned to support here, and then of course it just took off. I think 28 would be, probably the most bullish scenario of price retracing to. That being said, I'm going to look a lot more closely at 25.25. We can see that's where the real shift happened. That's where price came up here, had a major rejection at about 25.25, came back down for that larger correction, came back up, tore through that area of what was resistance, came back down, what was resistance started acting as support, and then of course it just took off on this other parabolic move. So 25.25, in my opinion, guys, is going to be where I'm going to go in a little bit heavier, and if price does drop from 25.25, I'm just going to add to it all the way down. So yeah, Binance Coin is one of those coins, guys, I'm just extremely bullish on in the next 12 months. Now looking at BAT, basic attention token, guys, I told you last time that we were watching this area down here between 34 and 35 cents. This, of course, if you're looking for a quick scalp, this was a decent area to buy down here, guys. But we are below the 21-day EMA here, guys. And the 21-day EMA, we just tested it again, started acting as resistance. Until we get back above this 21-day EMA, guys, I'm rather neutral on BAT, guys. I told you if we broke below 34 that we were very likely going to quickly come down to 32. We did have that, guys. Price came back down, tested almost perfectly right around 32. I don't think it quite made it down there. It was like 32.1, but close enough. So yeah, this did test this down here, did come back up, did have a chance to break out, did not break out. 21-day EMA, as I said, acting as resistance right now. I need to see it break back up above here before I start getting bullish again on BAT. I think you can do better on BAT, even though long term, if you're dollar cost averaging in for the long haul, I think BAT's an excellent coin. In fact, I think they just recently announced that they're testing tip feature with BAT on Twitter. So yeah, I mean the fundamentals of this coin are phenomenal. I think it's an excellent coin to have in your long-term hold portfolio. But again, for you day scalp swing traders, guys, right now I think you can do better until we get above the 21-day EMA. And as I said, guys, between 41 and 44 cents, or excuse me, between 42 and 41 and 44 cents, guys, we do have a decent supply zone here. So I think there's a lot of sell orders that are still sitting up here. And until we do clear 44 cents, guys, you know, it's a little bit risky. I'd basically buy support, sell resistance, and knowing that resistance is here at 44 cents. But I'd even wait to buy support until we can clear above this 21-day EMA here. But yeah, I think a break above 44 cents, guys, would be your sign to go in long. A decisive break above 44 cents would be your sign to go in long on BAT. For now, guys, I just think you can do better. All right, quickly looking at Litecoin. Litecoin, last time we spoke, we were operating within what looked like a wedge series of lower highs, higher lows. I told you to watch for the breakout. And again, same thing as EOS, guys. I told you to watch for the bull and bear trap. I remember telling you that I needed, if we do end up breaking down, that this is the area, these prior swing lows here, this was the area that price had to break to confirm that breakdown in price. So we didn't have that. We ended up breaking down, and of course, we hit that zone where you would expect if it's going to be a bear trap, and we didn't know it was going to be, but this is the area where it's going to happen. At this prior low, I told you that this is the area you watch out for that bear trap, guys, and of course, price ended up breaking down, hitting almost perfectly. Of course, we can see these are market makers just trying to stop people out. If you're trying to short Litecoin, trying to stop people out here, price hit this area, guys, completely reversed course, coming back up here, and of course we ended up breaking out to the upside here. So this is your classic bear trap, guys, breaking to the upside here. I would not get too greedy on Litecoin, knowing that if Bitcoin does end up breaking down, Litecoin will break down as well. That being said, could this thing just continue to go parabolic here? Yes, it could. I'm going to be watching. If we come out here to the daily chart, we get a little better idea of what's going on. I'm going to be watching this prior swing high right here, the top of which is at $107. If we can take out $107, guys, even then, we've got to remember this larger area of what was support that will very likely start to act as resistance. And again, that sits at approximately $110. And this is the area that I think can confirm the bull run for Litecoin. I think Litecoin has to break above decisively. In other words, a daily candle, both opening and closing above 110 to confirm that bullish breakout, guys, to confirm that bull run for Litecoin. And we're getting right up in that point, guys. We're getting right up in that area of major resistance. So keep that in mind. If you are on Litecoin now, I would either consider taking some profits out of the board or consider increasing your stop loss. Now, again, if Bitcoin does end up breaking up, I do think that Litecoin will very likely take out 110, and I think Litecoin could possibly, if we do take out 110, I think we're very likely Litecoin can come up here to at least 125-ish. So there's no question there could be more upside for Litecoin, but I would I would definitely protect your profits, guys. I would definitely increase your stop loss at the very least all the way up here. If you have not bought into Litecoin yet, do I think this is a good place to do it? I don't think so. Again, I think wait until you break above 110 decisively, a daily candle opening and closing above 110. That would be your signal to go long on Litecoin. Yeah, until it does do that, I think it's a risky play where it is. I think continuing with our strategy, which is, again, buying support. We have the ascending support line here and selling resistance, which, again, is somewhere around the top of this prior high, which we're currently experiencing now, or 110, which, of course, as I said, was the major area of support, which very likely will start to act as resistance again. Quickly checking Ethereum. Ethereum, same thing as EOS, same thing as Litecoin. Last time we spoke was operating within the wedge here, guys, getting squeezed tighter and tighter. Told you to watch out for the bear trap. Price did end up breaking out. And to be fair, I told you to watch out for the bull trap as well. Remember, we're watching to the bull trap to the upside would have been anything breaking above 268. To the downside, guys, I told you to watch this 230 area of support. Price came back down, hit the area of support right at almost to the dollar, right at 230, did the U-turn, and it came right back up. So again, trying to trap people into their short positions, and then of course market makers drive price up, liquidating those short positions, and we'll see if it can continue to the upside here. I'm going to wait and see if we can take out these prior highs, basically since May the 19th all the way until May the 22nd, very close to the similar all-time highs, guys, very similar resistance, and that sits right at about 263. So if we can take out 263, call it 265 for a decent psychological, and actually 265 would, now that I'm looking at it here, would be the area, these two prior daily candles here, the top of these prior daily candles here. So that would make a lot of sense, guys. Taking out 265, guys, to the upside might be your signal to go long. Just make sure you keep in mind that we do have this area of this decent supply zone between 280 and $300, guys. That is going to provide a decent area of resistance. We can see it. We already tested it once, had a very strong rejection. And again, if we can at least break above 280 and take out this prior high, which is I think at 281 to be exact. If we can take out 281 and start consolidating above 281, I do think that's going to be a very, very bullish sign, guys. But until then, and actually, I mean, until we clear above 300, there's just know that there's a good probability of a major rejection between 280 and 300, guys. That is a decent area of resistance. That's a strong area of resistance. That being said, if we can clear 300, there's just not a whole lot of support, or excuse me, there's just not a whole lot of resistance until we get above the first area that we'd even start to look for resistance is about 380. But really, guys, until we get up above to this area here, starting between about 420 all the way up to about 450-ish, this is the area that I'd start to look for major resistance, and that's going to be right about here. We can see that acted as resistance here, support here. Of course, then it broke down, resistance again here before breaking down further. So yeah, I would expect this area that, let's call that between about between 420 and 445. If we break above 300, guys, the next major area of resistance really isn't until about 420 to about really 450. So if we can decisively clear 300, a daily candle opening closing above 300, I think that's going to be your signal to go long on Ethereum. Until then, it's a bit of a risky play, but we could certainly see some more upside. And if we can at least start consolidating above 280, again, I think that'd be a very, very bullish sign. To the downside, guys, same support is still relevant between about 230 and 220, guys. If we do clear, that's going to be the area of support. I think that's would be a decent buy. We'll have to wait and see. Again, the whole market looks like it's about to move, so things could get ugly very quick if we do take that area out. If we do take out 230, I think it'll be a very quick drop down to about 185. And finally, ending with the coin everybody loves to hate, Ripple. Ripple, again, operating within a wedge here, guys. Same as EOS, same as Ethereum, same as Litecoin. Price ended up breaking down here, hit the 21-day EMA, hit the bottom of our area of support as we've been discussing, which is right around 36 cents, or excuse me, 37 cents. I think it was really at like 36.8 cents. It hit that area of support, immediately did a U-turn right back around, guys. So a typical bear trap coming back around, guys, and we're still looking for that break, that decisive break back above. Ripple is still unsure of what it's going to do. And again, guys, in full transparency, Ripple is probably one of the most difficult coins that I have to analyze. It often has a mind of its own. It's a good hedge, but it is a difficult coin to analyze, just in the interest of full transparency. So until we do end up taking out this prior high here, which is at about 41.8 cents, until we do take that out, guys, I can't say go long on Ripple. It's just kind of a wait and see coin, kind of watch and wait and see coin. If we do take out this 41.8 cents decisively, we can at least start consolidating on top of that, guys. I think we could find ourselves quickly coming up to 47, 47, 48, even 48 cents, even this prior high here, which sits at about 40, yeah, right about 48 cents ish. So yeah, but right now, guys, Ripple is just, and it's looking like it may possibly want to turn into, let me just redraw this for you here. So if this maintains itself and we don't get a breakout, and we look at, where price hit here, perfect here, and almost finding a perfect hit right now. If we don't break out above this zone, and look at the base, now this is looking like the possibility of a descending triangle. Now, if this is a descending triangle, probability is going to favor the bears. Probability is going to favor a breakdown. If price does end up breaking down, in other words, if we decisively close below, really it's 30, I'm calling it 37, but really it's about 36.6. If we decisively close, well, if we get a daily candle both opening and closing again, let's call it 36 cents. Or excuse me, 37 cents. A daily candle opening and closing below 37 cents. I think we're very likely coming back down to this prior order structure down here, which is at least about 31.5 cents, if not this kind of ascending support line that we saw back here. But somewhere between 31 and 32 cents, I think, is going to be a very logical target if we get that decisive break below 37 cents, in my opinion. So yeah, we're going to watch and wait and see if we can. Now this will get invalidated again if we can break out above here and if we can clear 41 cents. If we can clear really 41.5 cents. If we can clear 41.5 cents, guys, then that's going to be invalidated, and then I turn bullish on Ripple, and then I think we could possibly hit 46, 47 cents. But again, if this does maintain itself within what looks like the possible makings of a descending triangle, that is a bearish sign, and that would favor a breakdown again. And I'd be watching anywhere between 32 and 31 cents. I do expect a decent bounce off that zone if it does break down. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things there, guys. Sorry for the little bit long, little bit extended video today, but we had a lot to cover. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.